Recording. All right, so we've got the screen share recording. So what are we doing today? You're doing your first set of, I'm still a little hot. Your first set of web design assignments. One of them is related to your physical citizenship, like we talked about earlier this week, specifically public transit. And then your second assignment is related to your digital citizenship, specifically the communication of your itinerary. I'll go over all this in a second. But you're actually going to start writing some basic HTML today. Very basic, very simple. Because you'll see later in the PowerPoint, I want us to take this nice and slow at the start so you get a feel for how these things work. Because much like math, there are formulas. And as you practice the formulas and understand the formulas more, the harder stuff gets easier. Right? So, what are the main themes of these two assignments? For physical citizenship, PCA1, you're creating a public transit itinerary. All right? So this means using some tools that I have provided on the assignment as well as in the resources section at the beginning, creating a list of things to do with start and stop times only using public transit. There's a couple tools I'll show you here in just a second. And for your actual assignment, you want to describe your plan on how you're getting to these interesting things, including start and stop times and anything that might be extra to help plan, because planning is a very valuable skill you're going to use all over your other classes as well as in your after high school life, right? And then the digital citizen aspect, assignment number 2, is practicing with the hardcore code basics of starting the files, making sure they're in the right setup, making sure they're configured correctly, right? That troubleshooting thing that I mentioned that we're going to be doing a lot of in this class. We'll also be specifically focused on HTML. I want to teach you the formula or the format for something called tags, and you're only going to really need to turn in 3 to 5 of them. Very simple, very easy. Many resources online that I've shared with you or that you are able to find with your time today. But those are our 2 things. Our daily tasks are these 2 assignments, which are due on Friday. Okay? Am I good to move on? Swag. Thank you. So what are your outcomes? You'll get a basic quote web page. Web page is in quotes because it has the language that it needs to become a website, but it won't actually live on the internet yet. That's a term called hosting. That's a skill we're going to work on a little bit later in this semester. Right now, you need to have an actual piece of code before you send it out to the web, right? You need to learn how to walk before you run. Okay? You'll also, if you're not able to drive at this point in time, you'll be able to find cool things to do, cool, interesting stuff that you want to check out, different events, different, excuse me, I have the hiccups, different ways to spend your time off your screens. We talked about this on Monday a little bit, that healthy balance between offline and online. You'll have a travel plan without a car today. And if you've got a Snake tab open, I would prefer if you closed it just for this second. Okay? Another outcome, thank you, or a block blast. Any type of tab that is a little bit distracting. All right, thank you. What we're doing, why we're doing this, an outcome, is practicing combining multiple aspects into one end goal. With the modern internet, most of the pages you use are in 5+ different languages that all work together more or less, right? So understanding how each of those aspects combine into something greater, much like all of your different hobbies, interests, and individual traits combine into something greater, you're going to outget that as part of today, or part of this stuff as well. Okay? So your assignments, you have 2. There's the physical citizenship one, which is related to some typing, some reporting, and using PowerPoint or Canva or other types of PowerPoint creation software. And then the digital assignments are going to be just HTML code, copy and paste. This is how you'll turn these in. The methods that we'll use, referencing. I want to teach you, like I mentioned, not to memorize what I tell you, but I want to teach you how it works so you can find your own version and create your own digital artworks with code. It's become a very blossoming artistic medium, coding. Collaborating with each other, with yourselves, or maybe not with yourselves, excuse me. Collaborating with me, with the TAs in the room, and then just using online tools because I value free and accessible as compared to not accessible. Okay? How do you know you're getting it? By the end of the day, you understand the basics of an HTML tag and an HTML page. You know where to find points of interest or activities in the surrounding Sammamish area. Like I mentioned with the link, even though it doesn't go across the Lake Washington yet, there are buses that go that way, which allows you to access all the way north as Linwood and all the way south as Federal Way. You'll practice using some King County Metro trip planner things, something I've used before to great success. And Most importantly, you know you're getting it because you're trying something new. It might not work, and then you make it work. All right? So we'll get into the why a little bit later. Oh, don't read that yet. That's a secret. So if we go to Tuesday on our agenda, some of you have already checked this out. What I want to show you to start off is this first thing, using KC Metro's trip planner. We'll sign up for an Orca card later, and we'll do the basic HTML a little bit later as well. But if we look right here on Resources 4.2, you're going to see PCA1 Transit Itinerary. Itinerary is kind of like an order of operations or a table of contents. It's a step-by-step plan for how something happens. When you plan a trip, you have an itinerary. Like I have an agenda for this class, I have an itinerary. Things I want to do. Okay? So this is your first physical citizenship assignment. I would like you to use a tool like Yelp or Google Maps or something similar to find activities or points of interest in the Sammamish or surrounding area. These can be hikes, these can be concerts, these can be festivals, these can be just a store you want to check out, if you want to just kind of shop around for a day. I don't mind. That's the cool part, is you get to decide. In the surrounding area, find some cool stuff to do. And create a list of 5 to 10 things that interest you. I forgot to finish my sentence here. It's supposed to just say, create a list of 5 to 10 things that interest you. Step number 3 is this part I want to show you real quick before I turn you loose for about, we'll go 10-ish minutes after I show you this trip planner right here. We'll allow it to use my location. Oops, just kidding. Not that one. We'll just type in the current location as Skyline. See if it pops up. Skyline. Hi. There we go. In Issaquah. Okay, so this is skipping ahead just a little bit because I don't quite have my list put together. That is the first thing I need you to do, the list of cool stuff that you want to check out. Let's say, for example, I wanted to go to Pine Lake Park, just something really quick, right? That's my point of interest. I'm going to type that in as my destination, Pine Lake Park. And then the KC Trip Planner is going to show me a bus route that will take me there. Obviously, this is quite a short trip because it's just going straight down to 28th. But with your starting points and your list of points of interest, you can place those into the start and stop on this tool right here and start seeing the bus routes that take you there, or the transit routes that take you there. For example, if I wanted to go to something like Bainbridge Island from Skyline, let's see if that will let me. Let's do, actually specifically, there's a coffee shop on Bainbridge that I really like called Olympic Coffee, but I spelled Olympic wrong. Hold on. Olympic Coffee. Show me the Bainbridge one, not the Port Orchard one. So see, this is what I mentioned with things not exactly going how I immediately planned. Oh, it's not Olympic, it's Pegasus. My bad. Sorry. Pegasus Coffee. Olympic Coffee, something else. Show me the Bainbridge Island one, because I want to have the... There it is. Thank you. Okay, so you're going to see this is quite a bit of an extended transit journey, but it's possible. If I didn't want to drive from Skyline to Bainbridge Island, I could find a way to get to, except the one that I'm thinking of is like right over here. I don't know why it's taking me all the way up here. But the point is that once you find points of interest as the first step, and then you use this tool, the KC Metro Planning Tool, you can start to see how you can get there without a car. And that's what I want you to start off with. PCA1 is creating some kind of document or PowerPoint, describe your routes, departure and arrival times, and why you have selected these points of interest. So for example, if I were using this Pegasus Coffee one as an example, I'm just going to use Notepad real quick. You can use whatever software you prefer, like PowerPoint or Canva, or you can create a Word doc, you can create something visual with something like Adobe. We have the Adobe products. But what I want to do is take this itinerary right here, click the drop down. It's going to give me all the details. I can copy all this. Control C, it's probably not going to work super well in here. Control V, right? Now I have this big list of stuff, or you can take screenshots, or you can, I wish there was a way to like copy and paste it, but hold on. What I want you to do is first create your list of 5 to 10 things, then find a way to 3 of those total using KC Metro Trip Planner. And then put it into some kind of document telling me the route that you go on, telling me the time you need to leave, and why you've selected these specific 3 things. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. Does anybody have any questions? Any at all? Okay. If you do have questions, you can ask me. You can ask our TA for this period is Jake. He lives right up here. Jake, can you raise your hand? Hello. Very versed in web design. And then you can also ask Miss Cameron if she is available. Okay? Okay. I want to give you about 10 to 15 minutes to start compiling your list. For now, you're just finding cool things, and then we'll start putting them into the KC Metro Transit Planner in a second. All right? Give me a thumb. Show me on your thumbs how you're feeling about this first part. Up, side, or down? Okay. Swag. Good luck. I'll see you in about 10 minutes, 12:37. Okay? Thank you. I'll put on some music as well. Okay. So I have been, anytime, just for future reference, anytime you see this yellow border around the outside edge of my screen, I'm recording. Audio as well as what's on the screen, so you can come back and watch it whenever you need to. You've picked up, maybe I do talk a lot, so sometimes the videos go a little bit long, but I do try to be as efficient as possible. So when I am showing you something like this, it really helps to listen. And so when you go back, if you just, see like that. Just in case you need a reminder, the videos might go a little bit long. I updated the assignment instructions just a little bit. Sorry, I didn't realize we were frozen. Now under 3, there are a couple extra tips, 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3, in case you need to finish this up at a later date. Okay, but that's besides the point. We're going to talk about vscode.dev, which you can find by going to your Tuesday resources. It's going to be number 4.4, this link right above W3 Schools HTML. Okay? So let me close out a couple of these so you can see as if it would be for realsies. Okay? If you click on this vscode.dev link, Visual Studio Code is the main IDE, which is fancy speak for coder, stands for Integrated Development Environment, that we're going to be using throughout this class. Okay? And for your digital citizenship assignment number 2, you'll need to write some code using VS Code. But I want to show you how to write HTML as well as how to find, with a resource, other tools, other ways to apply HTML past just the ones I show you. Again, emphasizing that most of this class is providing you the formula. Most of this class is providing you the troubleshooting. Your job is to experiment with it. Your job. Yes, I'll punch your card when you get back. Wait, sorry, you need to pass. There you go. Okay, so if you are at the stage where you're seeing Welcome Workspace, it says Open Folder, Open Recent, don't worry about that for now. We're just going to focus right here where it says Visual Studio Code, and we're going to start with a new file. Okay? What you'll do with this new file, I'm going to show you shortly. So click on New File, and a little search bar will pop up in the top right here. We're just going to use a text file built in, and that's going to open up a tab on the top of our vscode.dev here. All right? We can close this Welcome tab because we're not needing it at this point. And you should have an untitled one that says Select a Language in blue. All right? I tried the Control-KM earlier today when I was practicing this, and it did not work. So what we're going to do is click Select a Language so that we see our little mouse cursor turned into the finger, right? These are in alphabetical order, and we need the letter H for HTML. So we're going to scroll past all these different languages until you see these 2 orange brackets. And these 2 orange brackets are very important because they form the formula, the structure of an HTML tag. Okay? I'm going to shut the door here in just a sec. I'm going to click on this HTML, and you'll notice not much changes besides the orange brackets appear next to Untitled 1. Now what you can do with HTML is create the structure of your web page. The same way that I describe this class as process over product, you have to make the site work before you make it pretty. Okay? A lot of web pages, like Canvas for example, if we go into the the code that makes it work. If we take away all the pretty stuff, it's just a big stack of information. What we do in the design part is move that information around. But we need information to move around before we start doing that. Okay? The basic formula for all HTML tags includes a start and a stop. All right? And there's a very distinct difference between those two things. Okay, let me see if I can make this bigger so you can see it a little bit better. Okay? And we'll close this. You can click on this to make it a little bit smaller. Okay? Start tags are always going to have an alligator mouth going towards the letters and an alligator mouth at the end of the letters. All right? Some greater than and some less than signs. So if I type out the word tag like this, that's not going to do anything. That's basic text on a site. My computer does not know how to read that. What I want you to remember from the start of the class is that a computer is a very, very literal creature. You need to tell it exactly what it needs to know because it can't make guesses. So in order to tell this computer what it needs, we need to speak its language a little bit more. And you do that by typing shift comma, and you're going to see a bunch of stuff come out because we have an alligator mouth. The first tag in an HTML document is always the letters HTML. Okay? And you're going to see this little wrench icon pop up because VS Code, being a smart integrated development environment, a smart coder, it's going to try and help us be more efficient web designers. All right? You have two choices. You can either click on that wrench, which is going to do not much, or when you're done with your tag, I'll show you where to find more tags, you go shift period. Now, what happened when I typed shift period? Did anybody notice anything? Is there the same amount of HTMLs as there was before? No, there's more now, right? Almost every tag in HTML needs a start and a stop. Okay? The start is on top on line number 1. The stop is on line number 3. What difference do you notice between the start and stop tags? Kara? There's a slash at the front or at the back? The front. Tags are always twins when there is a start and an end tag. There are a couple that do not need an end tag, but for the purposes of today, assume everything needs a start and an end. Okay? The first thing we need to do when we write an HTML document is tell the computer it's an HTML document. Remember, this thing can't guess. I love my computer, but it's extremely literal. You have to tell it exactly what it needs to know. Okay? Hi, welcome back. So HTML is the first tag that tells your computer, got it, word, I'm reading an HTML tag. Web design is a lot like recipes, okay? So what I provide for you, like I use the Lego metaphor, are a lot like ingredients for an end goal, okay? If I take a rice plus a protein, every single one of us has a different version of what that looks like. There might be crossover, right? We might have the same idea. But when I say rice plus protein, two basic ingredients, there's a lot of ways that you can zhuzh that up, right? Spice that up. That's how I want you to think about these HTML tags. And the first one's always going to be HTML. How do you find more of these? Because HTML has been around for a very long time, and it is a very structural language, it's gone through a lot of versions and a lot of updates. What I don't want you to try to do is memorize every single tag. Much like there are words in at least English, for an example, we're using all the time, and then there's fancy words we're using sometimes. Tags are the same way. The ones that you use all the time, you're going to remember. The, me, there, we, us, lunch, etc. Okay? But some of the other fancy ones, you might need to look up. That's totally normal. Why am I telling you this? How do you look up tags? You look up tags with a resource like W3 Schools. W3 Schools stands for www. Maybe you recognize those 3 letters together. World Wide Web. This is a group of people who have put together the standards for how the internet is built and how the web pages are built. Okay? And what you need to know is that in this site, you can see HTML tags in action as well as see what their end result looks like. So if I click on this try it yourself right here, you'll get W3 Schools version of the HTML, much like CodePen that has an input on one side. Your input's over here because that's our recipe. And then it has an output, the result. Okay? Here's our ingredients. Here's our food. Here's our specific type of rice, specific type of protein, specific type of sauce, specific type of etc. Here's what we bring to work for lunch. Okay? You see that difference? So what I want you to do, if we look at DC A2 here, is using your work from A1, create a basic HTML web page. I'm showing you how to do this right now, as well as Jake and I are able to help you with your individual ones. The same way you made a list of 5 to 10 points of interest, I want you to make a list of 5 to 10 HTML tags to try out. How do you find these tags? Something like HTML basic. HTML documentation right here. You can ignore some of, there's headings. Scroll past some of the doc type stuff. Go straight to headings, go straight to something like paragraphs, go to something like links. Maybe use images. Images we'll get to a little bit later. But I want you to explore this W3 Schools webpage looking for these start and end tags, which how can you tell the difference? Can anybody remind me? Slash. Slash, does a start tag or an end tag have a slash? End tag has a slash. And click on these, try it yourselves, and see what they do. See what these different instructions are telling you and what type of different outputs they create. Okay? So before I let you start working on finding your tags, what questions are coming up? Or is this making sense? Okay. Even if it's not quite making sense yet, remember, this class is built around you trying it, seeing if it works. And then if it doesn't work, finding out why, and then trying again. It's a very iterative process. Has anybody heard that word iterative before? It means iterations. It means drafts. When you write a website, just like when you write an essay, you start with a real crap draft, just throwing some words at the wall, and then you make it better over time. And so the final site you've put together, whether that's for your client who's paying you money, whether that's for your personal blog, whether that's for you and your friends who are creating a site together, the first draft sucks. It usually is not very good. But the last draft is quite a bit better because you gave it a shot. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. Your job right now on DC A2 is to follow steps 1 through 3, or sorry, at least 1 and 2. Take your 3 destinations and find 5 to 10 HTML tags to try out, and then use VS Code Dev to put your 3 destinations into a web page. Okay? And you have until Friday to do this. You do not need to have it done today. But practicing today while you have access to Jake and to me, as well as your classmates, helps it stick. Okay? You guys are listening great today. I super appreciate it. Thank you very much. What questions are coming up? Okay. This I'm going to give you a little more time for. Okay, I'm going to check in about 15 minutes. That puts us at 1:20, and we'll see where we're at. Okay? Show me on your thumbs how you're feeling. Up, side, or down. It's okay. Sides are normal. This is new. We're starting to get into code right now. Okay. I'll be wandering. Jake, if you also want to help me wander, that'd be great. 5 to 10 HTML tags from W3 Schools that interest you. All right? That's your job right now. Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. And then I keep this, and you take this. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me save my video so I don't lose it. Where did it go? It was a good video, man.